Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club, and the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube platform. And for those of you who are joining and you're wondering what this platform is all about, I say this every Tuesday that this platform is about inspiration, it is about motivation, and it is about challenging ourselves to show up the best version of ourselves, to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. It doesn't matter what the situation looks like. It doesn't matter what the situation otherwise calls for. Our goal is to have a conversation so that it can become second nature for us to show up the best version of ourselves, even in the worst of situations. Because how many of us know that life just has a way of throwing out those worst situations, even when you least expect it? As a matter of fact, those worst situations seem to come they never come when you expect them. They always come to catch you off guard. But thank you all so much for joining in and sharing this time with me. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to take about 1,800 seconds to share this time and space. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't done so, please go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click on the notification bell, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live. It lets you know whenever I've uploaded new content, those sorts of things. And so I'm always delighted to see those of you coming into the chats. And I will shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. And just in case you're wondering, who are the LTTC VIPs? What are they? What is that all about? We have this friendly banter here on this platform where I always do a shout out to the first 3 people that I see in the chat room. I see others coming, but sometimes they don't quite make it into the chat room before everybody else. So those first 3 people, I call them the VIPs for the evening. So thank you all. Let me just say that thank you all so much for sharing this time with me. I don't take it for granted. It is the 17th of the month, and we're halfway in the middle of the month. We are moving on into this season and to the end of the year. And I want to talk about giving yourself permission. And it will become a little more crystal clear in just a moment when I talk about giving ourselves permission, because so many times we don't give ourselves permission to do the things that we want to do, the things that we need to do, the things that we should do, the things that we otherwise would do. We just don't give ourselves permission. So we find ourselves sometimes stuck in the mud, and we're spinning our wheels, and we just can't get out, and we just can't seem to get the momentum going. And you wonder why. It is because you haven't given yourself permission to move. Have you ever found yourself in a situation and you said, well, I would do that. I think I need to do that. I ought to do that. I should do that. And you kept saying, I would, I should, I ought to, but you never move. And you never move because you don't give yourself permission to move. In fact, finding yourself in a place where you aren't moving seems comfortable. It is familiar. It is a space where you don't have to compromise. You don't have to challenge. You don't have to push yourself outside of the box. So you choose to stay put, because staying put is a little more comfortable than moving, Cutler. Moving requires that I do something that I don't necessarily know what the outcome is going to look like. But I want to talk about giving yourself permission to move, permission to grow, permission to do so many other things, permission to alter, permission to change, permission to stop, permission to go. We need to give ourselves permission, because a lot of times we would give people authority and permission. We would give them that sort of space and push, but we don't do it for ourselves, and we end up holding ourselves hostage, and we end up holding ourselves back. Cutler, you've gotten way ahead of yourselves. I promise you, I'll come back and we'll keep this train moving. But it is my goal to make sure that we are moving along this trajectory, going to the space and this place that is called better. Better just means that this is not as good as it gets. This is not the end all be all, because where I am now, something better is going to and will happen. There's always a better beyond where you are. Oh my goodness. There's always a better beyond where you are. I know for some people, this seems like it is as good as it gets, but that is not true. Better means there's always something beyond where you are. So I want to talk about giving ourselves permission to get beyond where we are, to do something beyond what we're currently doing, to be something beyond what we are currently being, if I may use that language. Well, let me shout out the LTTC VIPs for just a moment, and they are Linda Martin, Bobby Dunmore, Annie Cutler. It is so good to see you all. And let me tell you where this conversation really stems from, you all. I was reading this book, an entry in this book. Billboards to Better is my seventh book, and it's about, these sources of motivation to make sure that we are motivated and inspiration along the highway of life. I wrote this in hopes of encouraging people and motivating people and inspiring people. And from time to time, yes, I do pick it up and I read it and I get some inspiration. As a matter of fact, I was reading this one piece that says, I was reading a couple pieces today, if the truth be told. Let me just share with you all one piece why I think you might want to get this book. Here is something that I read today, that I have survived on battlegrounds where I should have died. I have survived on battlegrounds where I should have died. And when you think about that and you have the fortitude and the tenacity and the wherewithal to stand up and say, you know what, I could have and I should have died on some battlegrounds, but for whatever reason, I survived. It means that you look at yourself in a different light. You look at yourself through a different lens. And you don't look at yourself as a weakling. You don't look at yourself as a coward. You don't look at yourself as a naysayer. You don't look at yourself as somebody who gives up easily, but you say to yourself, I survived on battlegrounds where I should have died. And so that's just a free piece of motivation and a free piece of inspiration for some of us this evening. But the poignant piece that I looked at, you all, was the one that really focuses this conversation today. It says, give your voice permission to sing, your heart permission to love, your mind permission to dream, and your soul permission to soar. May I read that again? Give your voice permission to sing, your heart permission to love, your mind permission to dream, and your soul permission to soar. That resonates with me. And I wrote that and I captured that after I said it, because I was having a conversation. I'm always having conversations, particularly with young people. And so many times I realize that we stifle our creativity because someone else does not approve of it. Someone else doesn't seem to validate it. And how I sound now is only going to, I will only sound a certain way or sing a certain way if it gets the approval of somebody else. Giving your heart permission to love and enjoy life and to take life at face value and just be happy with life and the people in your life, and giving your mind permission to dream. Some of us have stopped dreaming. We've stifled our creativity. We don't dream anymore. We don't think beyond where we are because somebody told us that this is as good as it gets and it will never get better. And for you, it can never get better. And some people have painted us in a corner or tried to lock us in a box. And so we have not given our minds permission to dream. As a matter of fact, some of us have been told that it's too dark to dream. It's too chaotic to dream. There's too much calamity in your life for you to dream. But I wrote this to encourage us to give our minds permission to dream. And not only that, but to give our souls permission to soar, to think it can be better. It will be better. There is victory beyond where I am. There's success beyond where I am. Because so many times we have listened to voices, and those voices have become the dominant voices and the predominant voices that we hear and that we listen to. And they don't necessarily mean us any good. They don't necessarily they don't necessarily intend to push us beyond where we are. And we've listened to those voices, but I want us to give ourselves permission to do what? Among other things, to silence those voices, give ourselves permission to invalidate that which comes to invalidate us. And so give your voice permission to sing. It doesn't matter if you can make a joyful noise or just have a beautiful, this beautiful melodic voice. Give yourself permission to sing. Give yourself permission to dream. Give yourself permission to soar. And so I want to talk about that and give your heart permission to love, because again, we have stifled ourselves based on what other people think about us. And I've said it before, and I said it again on this plateau. Nobody gets to invalidate me. Nobody gets to invalidate me other than the one who created me. It's either me or the creator who gets to invalidate me, but nobody else. I don't give anybody else that power. Nobody else has that capacity. You might affirm me, but you certainly don't get to validate me. And so we validate ourselves. So I want us to give ourselves permission to be seen and to be heard and to be loved and all of those things. Give yourself permission. We stifle ourselves looking for someone else to give us their approval. But as we're sharing this time and as we're looking for this space that is called better, let's talk about giving ourselves permission. Cutler, why is that so important? What do you mean I need to give myself permission? That's exactly what I mean, because giving yourself permission doesn't mean that you stop worrying about what other people think. Let's be clear. It does not mean that you stop worrying about what other people think. It means that you're just giving yourself permission to be the best version of yourself and to go after what you want. That's what giving yourself permission means. Yes, I am concerned about what kind of impact I have on other people. I am concerned about sometimes their opinions of me. I want to make sure that I garner other people's respect. Yes, I do want to do that, but it doesn't mean that I stop worrying about what they think. But what it does mean is that I'm giving myself permission to be the best version of me. Everybody else is taken. I can only be me. And so I'm giving myself permission to be the best version of me. Understand this, you all. We all have good qualities and we need to be proud of them. And the converse of that is true. Yes, we all got a few flaws. We all have a few flaws that we could possibly do without. But I'm not going to let my flaws be so big in the eyes of other people that I forget about what my good qualities look like in my own eyes. Let me say that again. I am not going to be the kind of person whereby my flaws look so big in the eyes of other people to the point that I overlook the good qualities that I have in my own life. Why is that, Cutler? Because we all experience success and we all experience failures at different times in our lives. So I want us to give ourselves permission to be the best version of me that I can. Do you not know that there's this whole movement in 2024? There's this whole movement of self-permission, where people are moving away from this harsh, this critical, this abusive kind of self-discipline. There is a whole movement. Look it up when you get a chance. It's called it is called self-permission. And sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to what, Cutler? To stop being to stop accepting less than what we're capable of. Sometimes we accept so little of ourselves. We set the bar so little. But we need to give ourselves permission to stop accepting less than what we're capable of. Give yourself permission to set some new expectations because you know you can reach them. Give yourself permission to be your biggest cheerleader, to go further than what your mind is currently telling you. Give yourself permission to level up, so when it comes to doing the things that dreams are made of, you can lay hold to them and do them. We spend a lot of time, and I just need to talk about this, y'all, because it is so true. I see it among young people, I see it among middle-aged people, I see it among older people, that we end up invalidating ourselves so much. Why is that, Cutler? What do you mean? It means that we avoid and we ignore and we judge ourselves. We really do. Do we do that? Yeah, we do. We avoid ourselves, we ignore ourselves, and we judge ourselves. Why? How? What do you mean we do that? We do it for having feelings that aren't necessarily aligned with how we think we should feel. Oh, this is what I should feel. This is what I should do. This is how I should respond. And so we avoid ourselves, we ignore ourselves, and we judge ourselves. Why do we do that? It happens a lot of times because we feel like we didn't have enough validation growing up. I read something about a child who is broken will become an adult who spends the rest of his or her life trying to fix himself or herself. Because sometimes we feel like we were not validated. Have you ever found yourself not moving simply because you didn't give yourself permission? Auntie, my friend, it's so good to see you. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission. It's not that anybody else is holding us back. Sometimes we are our worst saboteur. And can I tell you something else that I wrote in here? One day I wrote, stop engaging in self-destructive behavior and then pretending that you're not committing suicide. We engage in self-destructive behavior, but we want to blame our lack of progress on other people. We engage in self-destructive behavior, but we don't want to call it suicidal behavior, because what we're doing, we are injuring ourselves. We are holding ourselves back. We are deterring ourselves. We are distracting ourselves. We are stopping ourselves. We are depressing ourselves. We are discouraging ourselves. But I'm giving us permission this evening. I come with a platter. What is my offering this evening? I come offering us permission, the power to give ourselves permission to do what, Cutler? Give yourself permission to change. Give yourself permission to alter, to deviate, to turn loose, to let go, to surrender. Whatever permission you need to give yourself, the same way that a teacher would give a child a permission slip to get up and go from the classroom to the library, from the classroom to the restroom, from the classroom to the principal's office. Give yourself permission. Sometimes we need to give our permissions to deviate from the course that I'm traveling, to turn loose of what I'm holding on to let go of what I'm holding on to surrender the thing that I think is most important. Give yourself permission to reject the notions that other people toss your way, the ideas that they toss your way, the thoughts that they toss your way. Give yourself permission to reject some of the things that they say and the things that they put on you. Give yourself permission to reevaluate some things that you've thought about in the past. Give yourself permission to reconsider some things that you've considered before. Oh no, well now as I think about it, this is not the best way of doing it. Maybe I should do something else. Give yourself permission to change your mind. Let me do like the GPS. I need to recalculate and recalibrate the way that I'm going. Oh, maybe that's not the best way for me to go. Give yourself permission. Sometimes we are stuck. And we stay stuck because we are afraid to give ourselves permission to change, to alter, to deviate, to reject, to reevaluate, to reconsider, to recalibrate. I want us to give ourselves permission to be the best version of ourselves that we possibly can. And if that means that I've got to ignore the naysayers, then I'm going to give myself permission. Maybe once upon a time you gave me good advice, but maybe this is not good advice. It doesn't mean that you're going to give me the best advice all the time. So I have to give myself permission to ignore the advice this go round, to disregard the counsel that you're giving me this time. I have to give myself permission to silence the noise of anything and anybody that speaks contrary to my well-being, that speaks contrary to me being the best version of myself. Give yourself permission. You sound really convicted about this. Yes, I am. And yes, I do sound convicted by this, because there were so many times when I was held hostage by other people's opinions. Held hostage by what other people thought I should do, how they thought I should respond, how they thought I should react, how they thought I should move forward. It happens all the time. Are you going to apply for a job there? Are you going to work there? Are you going to go on vacation there? Are you having this for dinner? It happens in so many spheres of our lives. Give yourself permission to silence the noise of anything and anybody that speaks contrary to your well-being. It means we have to learn how to let go. We have to learn how to change our minds, surrender to the unknown. Well, you're going to go down a path that you don't necessarily know, Cutler. Yeah, because what I do know is I went down that path before and that path didn't work. So maybe I need to surrender to the unknown and trust that a better path will emerge. Well, are you sure you want to do that? Well, yeah, I'm sure I don't want to do that again. I'm sure that what I want is to give myself a clean slate and a clear slate. I'm sure that I want to open myself up to new possibilities and new adventures. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that I don't want to make the same mistake twice. Absolutely. And so what I need to do is learn how to give myself permission. How do I do that? Well, one of the things that I have to do is forgive myself for the mistakes that I made in the past, because sometimes I'll stay stuck because I haven't learned to forgive myself, and I hold myself hostage because I acted or reacted in such a way and it wasn't in my best interest, and it didn't bring the best results that I was looking for. And so now I'm stuck in that. But what I need to do is to forgive myself. Sometimes we can't give ourselves permission because we have not given ourselves forgiveness. May I say that again? Sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to move forward, to move beyond, because we have not given ourselves forgiveness for what we did and where we were in the past. I hope this is helping somebody. I really, really do. I really do. We need to practice self-compassion. I say it all the time, and I think by now you all understand that I am such a proponent of self-compassion. I need to love who I am. I need to love my abilities. I need to recognize my abilities. I need to recognize my values. I need to recognize my gifts. I need to recognize my talents. And what I need to learn to do is to ignore this inner critic that is always critiquing me, critiquing who I am, critiquing what I do, critiquing how I think, critiquing how I show up, critiquing how I be. It is okay to evaluate and assess and analyze who I am so that I can be a better person. But when I become my own worst enemy, something is wrong. I need to give myself permission to celebrate me and to celebrate my wins and to celebrate my successes. How do I do that? I need to give myself permission to connect with people who appreciate me, to connect with people who love me, to connect with people who can push me. And be that for somebody else. Be the person who pulls, the person who loves, the person who connects with somebody else. So be what you want somebody else to be in your life. Give yourself permission to evaluate who's in your life. Just because they're in your life doesn't mean that they have to stay in your life. Maybe they mean you no good, or maybe they were good for a season when they were good for a season. But learn how to connect with people who connect with you. Learn how to connect with people who appreciate you. Learn how to connect with people who see your dreams and see your visions and can embrace them and push you and pull you when you need it. Give yourself permission to move on from disappointments and failures. Sometimes we're stuck. Oh my, I just can't believe I did that. Let me just beat myself up because this is what I did and I shouldn't have done this and woe was me. Give yourself permission to move beyond the failures. Give yourself permission to move beyond the disappointments. Give yourself permission to move beyond the I should have. Give yourself permission to move beyond the I could have. Give yourself permission to just move beyond. Give yourself permission to learn and to gain perspective. What does that mean? Let me stand back and get a perspective of where I can go, of what is out there, of what I'm capable of doing. I just don't want us to get stuck. That's all. I just don't want us to get stuck because so many times we get stuck. Why? Because I didn't give myself permission to move. And I heard the other voices, the voices that really spoke out of jealousy, because they recognized my own gifts and talents and strengths when I didn't. The voices that sometimes spoke out of intimidation. Why? Because they recognized my inner strength and my fortitude when I didn't. The voices that sometimes spoke as if they were racing against me. Why? Because they recognized my intestinal fortitude and my tenacity when I didn't recognize it myself. Give yourself permission to see inside of you. I just want us to silence the noise. Silence the noise of anything. And I may not be here for 1800 seconds this evening, but I want us to give ourselves permission to silence the noise of anything or anybody that speaks contrary to my well being, that speaks contrary to me being the best version of me that I can be, that speaks contrary to me being my best self, even in the worst of situations. Give yourself permission to silence that kind of noise. Sometimes in your space and in your circles and in your network and in your community, when you meet people who just can't seem to move, just ask them, what's holding you back? So I ask us all that this evening. What's holding us back? Is there anything that's holding us back? Why have we not reached some of our goals? Why have we not seen some of our dreams come into fruition? Why have we not met some of our aspirations? Why have we not attained some of our successes? Might it be because we did not give ourselves permission and we were so busy blaming other people for their impact on us and their impact on our lives, and we were giving them too much power, too much strength, too much authority over us? And so now we need to take back that power, that strength and authority and give ourselves. I'm giving myself permission to move on. I'm giving myself permission to dream. I'm giving myself permission to sing. I'm giving myself permission to soar, because the permissive power is within me. And you have to say that. You have to say it and see it. So I don't think I'll be with us for the entire time, but I want you to take advantage of every opportunity within the next 7 days to evaluate anything that's holding you back. And every time you find yourself thinking and you find yourself processing based on how you think other people want you to think and how you think other people want you to process, I need you to move beyond that. Sometimes we stop and we think and react based on, this is what this person would want me to do. This is how this person would want me to react. No. How do you want to respond? How do you want to react? Or do you want to respond and react in a way that is going to take you to the best version of yourself? Now, if that is not the case, you need to heed wise counsel and make sure that you hear the voice that really is consistently aligned with your best self. But if you find yourself wanting to respond and wanting to act and wanting to do based on what somebody else thinks is best for you, stop. Give yourself permission to reconsider. Give yourself permission to reevaluate. And you may find that their decision is the best, but just give yourself permission to stop and process. Let's share that with some people. Stop holding yourself back and then blaming other people. Stop engaging in self-destructive people and self-destructive behavior and then acting like you're not bringing it upon yourselves. Well, Cutler, I thought you said this platform was all about inspiration and motivation, and it is. But it is also about challenging ourselves. Sometimes we won't get very far unless we challenge ourselves. Sometimes my greatest successes have come because I've challenged myself. And so I challenged myself to consider, how am I thinking? Am I thinking in such a way that I'm holding myself back? Or am I thinking in such a way until I give myself permission to take advantage of every open door, every open window, every opportunity that comes my way? Let's keep doing what we do, you all. Thank you for allowing me to share this space. Whatever space you've allowed me to come into this evening, I so appreciate you for that. Whether it's your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, your front porch, if you're out walking, thank you all for allowing me to come into this space and share this space with you. I don't take it for granted that you tune in and that you listen and you give me and you give me an audience. Thank you for that so much. Let's take this conversation and let's share it with somebody else. Just tell them, give yourself permission to be the best version of you that you possibly can. Silence the noise of anything and anybody that speaks contrary to your well-being and your best self. Hey, let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep our heads up. Let's keep our hopes up. And do know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. And until the next time we talk, don't forget to tell somebody else, come on and let's talk to cover. I'll see you this time next week.